Laura. I have a question over here that's just come in. I'd love to ask each one of the artists to just, so much of your presentation spoke about how you've been spending your time over the past few months. But I wonder, in line with Eric's presentation, where he spoke about what reflecting on his time has meant to him now and what he's noticed. I wonder if there's something that Jill and Kemi would like to share that they've really noticed while putting together their presentations about their artistic practices.
The first one that has something to say, just unmute yourself.
I could go. This is gonna sound so bad, but I realized like I don't care, and like not that I don't care about like my practice at all, but like saying that I don't care about like the systems that have imposed on us, about the ways that we're meant to like do a thing. Made a lot of bold choices. I think even in like my presentation, like the way I like said certain things, I could have just did it differently. But yeah, I don't care about conforming or like fitting in a lot less. I'm just just hanging. Yeah.
I guess I'll go next. For me, that I guess things that I've noticed about my artistic practice over the course of the pandemic. For me, art has been something that I am able to do in my spare time if I'm ever afforded it. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I had been teaching in France, and then I came back to Canada, and I wasn't doing anything for a couple of months. So I did create a lot of art, and I experimented a lot with digital illustration, and that was really fun. But since the summer, I've been working in summer school. I did a lot of odd jobs and collaborations with arts organizations like the Kingston Arts Council, and I'm now teaching online. And I find that I don't have any time at all. And so it's like what Eric was saying. It's a huge stressor to have so much of my life centered around my vocation and not being able to afford any of that to my artistic practice or to artistic collaborations that I would like to make for my community. And at the moment, I may be carving out an hour a week maximum, which is great when it happens, but I imagine it will continue like this for a while. So essentially my artistic growth is put on hold.
Eric, did you have anything to share? You don't have to if you don't have anything to say.
Sorry, what was the question again?
The question was around something that the pandemic changed about your practice and how it changed your approach and your art and your connection with the community.
I think it's kind of interesting. I went so full steam into like things we could do for Dead On and running in my own art practice that now I'm like sort of overwhelmed by the things that I had signed up for during the pandemic, and now I don't have time to do them. So it's yeah, that's the situation that now it's like I signed up for all these things because I love to do them, but now I can't love to do them because it stresses me out.
Awesome. Thank you. I have another question in the chat. What can organizations do to support the stability of and the freedom of individual artists? I'm imagining Barb is asking this. She's asking your perspective on that.
Is it okay if I go first? Okay. Yeah, there's been a lot of conversations that we've had in GRIP, so grassroots independent. I forget always what the P stands for. If someone can help me out. Professional, thank you. Yeah, so we've had a lot of conversations. I've had some more conversations with other members of the arts community, theater community. It's difficult because organizations can help artists to some degree in terms of, you know, providing opportunities for artists to showcase their works, or perhaps there are grants. But I think a lot of what we've settled on is that funding for artists has to come from the governments themselves, municipal, provincial, or otherwise, to have any sort of sustainable impact for grassroots artists. Because if you're beholden all the time to applying for, you know, countless grant after grant, or looking for job opportunities, or competing with other artists who you want to collaborate with instead, it does not allow for the care of the community, and for building each other up and supporting each other. So it's a good question, but I don't know if organizations at this point can support artists in the way that we need to be supported right now, is what I'm feeling.
I have a point that I think that's something that I've been thinking about a lot, related to if we were to adopt a UBI style funding for artists. Is I feel like the resistance to it from the government is this, like, how do you curate this? How do you decide who's considered an artist? Because it's going to be this massive spectrum of people applying, and I don't have an answer for it, but I think that's something that I think the answer to Barb's question, my answer to Barb's question, is a UBI style funding, where you don't have to, there's no, you don't have to produce in order to, like, for them to fund. But then clearly you couldn't give that to, like, then anybody could apply for it. Maybe that would be great if we could get a universal basic income. But we're just talking about a UBI for artists, and then we're talking about who is an artist and who isn't an artist. And I still don't have an answer to that, but I deal with it a lot at Dead On too, is like, when people apply to use the space, I have to decide whether or not they need it, or, like, if we usually it's easy because we don't have space for them, but then there's this weird moment of, like, how artist are you? And like, there's maybe that's my question to everybody else is what's an artist?
I think I want to approach this question in a way that's, like, outside of like finance, because that's really important. But I think that's something else that's really important that arts organizations can give to artists, is, like, quite literally, like, the freedom and, like, the liberty to kind of just do what they, like, want to do. Oftentimes it's like, okay, like, I have this piece, oh, but, like, can you do it in, like, this particular way, or can you, like, change this thing up a little bit? And yeah, like, it's like, okay, and now you have to do it in this way because they're, you know, giving you the money to do it, and you're ultimately not doing your own work. So I think that, like, allowing them the freedom to be like, because obviously you said yes to them because of their art, and so allowing them to do their art, I think, is also really important.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. It's a bunch in there. Okay. What is your wish, or kind of like your New Year's resolution for the Kingston arts community going forward in 2021?
Okay, I feel like we should just talk to each other more. I think that there's so much going on. Eric, you have, like, a skating ring? Why? I would have loved to come to that. I didn't know that was a thing. I think we need to, like, talk to each other more. There's so many things going on. I think that so many people think that there isn't anything going on, but obviously there is. And obviously we're creating these spaces for ourselves, and we just need to find a better means of communication, a better means of collaboration, so we know, like, what's happening, what's going on. I want more connectivity. I want to know what's happening. Yeah, that's me.
Sorry, I haven't been more. I feel like a lot of people don't know what's going on at Dead On, and that's another, like, thing that's happened because I don't have all my time to put towards it. It's like, I don't want to say that we're about one thing, and then when someone wants to come in, then I'm like, no, I got to work until Friday. Sorry. Like, so it's put a huge strain on Dead On. And about was the question, the question was about a change to like art funding, or like what can the city actually do? Is that not if I'm on the right track?
No, it was your specific wish for 2020.
Oh, yeah.
For the arts community.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe I'll be more realistic, and maybe I would just say that like if we don't go for like a UBI style thing, then the restrictions on granting should be like brought way the fuck down. Like I can't get a grant for Dead On because I could get a project grant for Dead On, and that would be great. I would get $1,000 and it would cover my rent for a month. And that's like, and then the other option is we apply for an operations grant, and the operations grant requires so many hoops to jump through. I need to prove that I'm like a financially stable business, that I'm like successful, that we've been like around for like 50 years or something, and we're gonna be okay. And then they'll be like, oh, here, have some free money. You don't need it. We have no income. We have no proof that that anybody's gonna profit off of what we do. All we have is people saying that they like what we're doing, or things like that. So maybe just like the restrictions and requirements for granting need to be brought way down.
For myself, I would like to see less gatekeeping, I guess, within the artistic communities. It was difficult for myself coming to Kingston, almost 4 years ago, to jump into the community for the first couple of months, and even now sometimes it seems like there's a lot of opportunities are provided to those who are in the know, who know each other, who are within certain groups, friend groups. It's difficult to break into that, and I want to see more more attempts to call people in to these art spaces and to these opportunities. Yeah, that's what I would love to see, and it's happening already. So just more of that, please.